Thank you for listening to this week's message from Go Church. We hope it encourages you today. For more information about Go Church, check us out online at letsgo.church. We hope you enjoy today's message.
Hey, I want to ask you guys a question. If you think that it is okay to have fun in church, can I see a hand in the air? Just a fun hand in the air. Now take that hand, high five somebody and say, let's have some fun today. We're in church. You chose to be here. It's going to be an amazing day. We're going to have fun. So we're going to do a couple of fun things. One thing that we're going to do, if you are married, you came in today, you should have had an opportunity to grab a little ticket, and we are going to give away a little date night. Little treat. We're going to do a $100 gift card to a new restaurant in Stanley Marketplace called Boychik, a little Mediterranean food. So we're going to do that today, and by today I mean right now. So everybody grab your ticket if you received one. The official shaking up of the tickets. All right. Get ready, get ready, get ready. We are looking for 06. How many of you are happy so far? Everybody's happy so far. 0647. How many are still happy? Okay, that's pretty good. 4. I like that. I'm down for a little heckling, a little boo, a little hiss. I like that. As long as you mix it in with good and bad, I'm down. All right, so let's just start over to make sure we're clear. 064747. You have to be here to win. So if that's you, you better put your hand in the air really, really quick. Is that you? Is it you? Is it you? Because I'm about to, once it goes away, it's never coming back, okay? I'm setting it down in 3, you're out. Now everybody's happy again. That wasn't yours, was it, babe? I mean, we could have been the ones. All right, we are looking for 06474. 3. Right back here in the back. Would you please give it up to him? Here, run on down here. You're the next contestant, and the prize is right. Go Church Edition. Becky's going to help you out. That's fun. I love Mediterranean food, so I want to try the place out. How many of you love pita bread? If you love pita bread, let's throw it up there. Come on, somebody. Pita bread is of the Lord. Of the Lord. We're going to have fun today. So we are into relationships. This is the second week. Last week we talked about dating, relating. Today we're talking about marriage and trying to make some progress on our relationships. So what we're going to do today is something that we do every once in a while, which is some live Q&A, some live question and answer time. So it's always fun, unpredictable, but we definitely need your participation to make this happen, okay? If you don't participate, it's no fun. So here's how we're gonna do it. Go ahead and grab your phone, and they're gonna throw the number up on the screen behind me. So what I want you to do is to start thinking about a marriage or relationship-oriented question. Now, we love questions, but we don't have time to get into weird or off-topic questions. So if you have a question about, politics, the economy, sure, we can talk about it, just not today. So today, let's go marriage, relationship-centered questions. Text it to the number on the screen. That number goes to our Go Church app. And so Becky, my wife, she's going to be co-hosting with me a little bit later today. And she's going to be curating these questions and coming up with some trends and try to find out which ones are popular, group them together, and we're going to try to answer as many as we can. Now, if we can't answer all of them today, we're going to hop online and we're going to do the rest of this and record it, throw it out on social media, maybe do something live. So we're excited about doing that. So make sure and send questions to Becky throughout the day. Today, I want to give you 3 godly ways. Everybody say 3. 3 godly ways to elevate your marriage. Now, let me see your hand if you're married today and you want your marriage, if you're okay with your marriage elevating in quality. Can I see a hand in the air? Husbands, you better raise your hand. All right, so if I mean literally we, okay? There is no high horse that Becky and I are sitting on looking down at anybody else today. We are all on equal Shetland ponies is what we are today. We, including us, we want to see our marriage elevate. So if you want to see your marriage elevate, you kind of have to accept the fact that, well, I'm not there yet. I'm somewhere here, but I want it to go here. Now, maybe there's been times in your past when you've been up here and then you hit a rough patch and then it went down here. Or maybe you're here and there have been times in your marriage where it's down below the state. It's below the ground. It was somewhere down here. And now you've come up to here. I think marriage it's always changing. Hopefully, it's always getting better. In my mind, I like to think about it like a good stock, okay? So I looked up some Apple stock back on February 14th. Valentine's Day, this is what I got Becky for Valentine's Day, is a few new shares of Apple. I want you to look at this. So when you look at a good stock, this is over 5 years, right? You can tell it's elevating. You can tell this would have been a good stock to buy at this price if you could 5 years ago, right? It would have done quite well. But it's not just an exact straight linear line up, is it? It kind of goes up and then down and then up, and then up a lot. And then, we kind of hit some depression times. It's kind of hard. And then up. But it trends up, right? I think it works the very same way in relationships where you'll be going along, things are good, and something will happen. And it'll be a tough time, a rough time, an arguing time, a fighting time, and it kind of goes down for a while. But then you figure it out, you push in together, and then you kind of come back up, and you trend over time, hopefully up and to the right is what we want to see in our marriages. So first of all, let's all acknowledge wherever we are individually in our respective marriages. Like, let's not inflate it and make it feel like, well, it's just Pastor Nick, phenomenal. The one is really not. Okay, so let's not pretend like it's better than it is, but also let's not forget about the progress that we've made so far. I mean, hopefully you can look back in the past 4, 5, 6, 7 years and thank God and be like, man, I'm so grateful that I've learned lessons, that we've grown together. Like, for example, me and Becky, her birthday is February 12th, and of course, Valentine's is February 14th. So the first year of our marriage, I learned that those are two distinct celebrations. You learn, man, over time. So I want to give you 3 ways to elevate your marriage. Everybody say 3. Okay, I want to share with you something that is true because I want to keep it real, and it kind of sets it up for the very first thing. But we got to go back in time. We got to go back to a time called COVID. During COVID, Becky and our stock dipped. And it didn't crash. Okay, but it dipped. Now, I want you to go back to COVID. Just try to remember. You're trapped in the house. You're trapped in the house. You're trapped in the house. For some of y'all, going out to work and then coming home is really good dynamic for your marriage. Trapped in the house with kids who need to go to school, and they're trying to do online school, and you're trying to be a teacher and a productive adult and take care of everything, plus sickness, plus unknown, plus all the things. Everybody was stressed out, right? It was a hard, stressful time. So about halfway in, Becky and I both noticed that we were getting on each other's nerves. It's just a lot of proximity, a lot of stuff, and we were becoming short with each other, just kind of squabbly. I mean, not like knock down, drag out, we got to go to the ER fighting, but just zingers, just little, well, I guess I'm gonna do the dishes again by myself, huh? Then Becky's like, well, I guess you're gonna be sleeping in the basement by yourself, huh? And then I'm like, well, at least it's quiet down there, huh? And then Becky's like, oh, you want quiet, huh? Okay, zip. She just started talking to me last week. When Becky goes silent, she is silent. She will not break for anyone. So we notice about halfway through COVID, we're just being kind of nitpicky with each other. And it was not cute. And over time, it actually does make a difference. And so we learned something that's simple but not simplistic. I want to challenge you with it today. It's our very first thing. Write this down. Very first way to elevate your marriage. Be nicer to each other every year. This sounds really like, sure. But try to set a record for being nicer to each other every single year. Not like, oh man, do you remember 2023? We were so nice to each other that year. That was our peak year. Then it went down. You know, you would think older couples who have been married 40, 50, 60 years plus, whatever, you would think, well, the longer they're together, the nicer they would be. But so many times, the longer that they're married, the more squabbly and kind of mean they are to each other, in short. And I want to set a record. We determined that year. It's like we're going to set a record for being nicer to each other every single year. Look at 1 Corinthians 13:4. It says this. We've been in Corinthians. Love is always right. Love always gets the last word. Love always makes that little zinger that reminds them, I am superior. Love is kind. I want you to set a new record for being nicer, kinder, more predictable, a safer place for them to land, where they can come in out of the work and out of the hard and out of the stress and out of the difficult, knowing I'm coming to my home team, I'm coming to my person, I'm going to be able to land soft. This person's going to be for me and be excited to see me. Just be nicer every year. I found that in the middle of COVID, and still I have to watch this, that I'll discover this dynamic where I can be nice to everyone. Like, I'll go meet with people. I'm nice to them. I'm nice to the barista. I'm leaving the tip. I'm being nice. I'm being nice to you, nice to people in my community. I'm patient. I'm listening. I'm trying to be solution oriented and trying my hardest. But then when I get home, all of that is like, okay, now I can just be short or not go the extra mile or not just be straight, old-fashioned, courteous and sweet and nice. I begin to wonder, why am I hardest on the woman I love the most? I don't love any other women like that. Let me rephrase that. I don't have backup women. Sometimes we're hardest on the people that we love the most. Why is that? Be nicer to each other every single year. So here was the problem, was I would bring in all the stress, bring in all the mud, bring in all the muck of all of the fighting of the fires and all the stuff right into the house, right into the relationship. So here's how we can do one basic thing to work on this. Write this down. How? Go through the wash and say one nice thing. When you come home, now you can come home from work, even if you're working in the house, have a moment. Before you engage, before you step across that threshold, before you have a word, say anything, go through this moment in your mind and in your spirit and say, God, I'm going to walk through the car wash right now. Just wash me of this stress, the muck of the day, the sweat of the day, the frustrations from that meeting, that person that I had a fight with at work, the person I had to terminate, the person that told me this. Help wash it off of me. Not that you'll forget it. You'll come back and you'll deal with it. But the ones that you love most do not deserve the spillover. Like if you were to walk in your house, some of you are very particular about taking off your shoes when you come into the house. Have a moment in your soul where you take your shoes off. You say, all right, I'm home now. Boom, boom. And I'm in. And I'm bringing my best, and I'm going to say one nice thing. Hey, beautiful. Hey, handsome. Maybe this is the first thing you say. I brought dinner home. And everybody's happy. All right, so wash the mud off. Go through the wash and say one nice thing. Here's the second thing, write this down. Plant seeds of sacrifice. If love is anything, love is sacrificial. Check this out, Ephesians 5:25. Husbands, love your wives, just as Christ loved the church and gave himself up for her. Can we just pause and take a minute and think about this scripture? God loved us so much that he gave his one and only son. Jesus loved us so much that in the middle of our mess, in the middle of our sin, he gave his life for us. When we were at our worst, he was at our best, and he proved his love for us. Do you believe that? Can we make some noise? Can we have a moment and say, thank you, God, for loving us? See, God proves it with action. It's sacrificial. If your love isn't costing you, is it love at all? Love is sacrifice. Planting seeds of sacrifice. I see this a lot with couples. One person in the relationship is like, if he would just, or if she would just, I fill in the blank. Be more attentive, help with the house, or help with the kids, or do this thing, or do this project, or they're always doing this. What I see a lot in relationships is a lot of this, pointing the finger. They're the problem. If they would just change. In relationships, our default, in our human nature, we just default to this. It takes discipline to not be like this. Here's what we do. We accuse them, and we excuse ourselves. We accuse them when they're caught in the smallest little thing, but when it comes to us, it's like, oh, babe, you know what I meant. Oh, don't be nitpicky like that. You know what I mean. You know I didn't mean that. I meant to throw that shoe in love. Planting seeds of sacrifice. Now, I'm going to come after husbands for a minute because I am one. Sometimes husbands, especially when you procreate, you make babies. Babies are so cute. We love babies, right? I always say if you're going to get married, marry up. You want to diversify the gene pool in a positive direction, and then you have the baby. The baby's here, right? It's the best of both of you. Sometimes the husband's like, well, I did my part. I'm down to do my part again. But the husband just expects the wife to adjust. Like, well, of course you're going to get up and do the thing and make the stuff and make the adjustment, and I'm going to go out and do my thing. And we just expect the wife sometimes to make the adjustments, and, oh, she won't mind. I'll just grab quick 18 holes after work on a Friday and not bring dinner home. It's a wrong and wrong. You got to at least bring dinner home. And then you just expect her to deal with it. And then if she's like, well, actually, I was hoping I was going to plan to go out with some girlfriends tonight. We're like, well, who's going to watch the kids? They're your kids. It's not like you're babysitting, okay? You planted the seed for the kid. You need to be able to plant some seeds for taking care of the kid and the family and the relationship. So here's what I'm challenging you to all think about today. Do not expect your spouse to produce what you're not willing to plant. Hello? Don't expect your spouse to produce what you're unwilling to plant. Think about that. So how can you do this? Lay down your comfort and lift up their spirit. I'm going to very practically challenge you. Lay down a piece of your comfort, husband and wife. Lay down an hour of social media, an hour of scrolling. You'd be amazed what you can get done in an hour. I mean, an hour of not messing around, total focus, you can do a lot. Lay down an hour of watching golf, social media, watching sports, doing something that's just decompressing and nice for you. Lay down an hour. Lay down an hour and lift up their spirit. Ask them, how can I help? Just go start pitching in and helping with food or dinner or a project, whatever needs to happen around family, life, kids, something that you've been putting off that you know they would love for you to do. Now, I'm not going to excuse myself. There is a project in my house right now that Becky has been wanting me to do, and now, between me, you, and the internet, I'm going to do it today. Just a project of, we have this little lid organizer that she wants me to screw into one of our storage cabinets to just store all of the lids for all of our pots in the kitchen. Now, I have not wanted to do that And so the lids have been strewn all over the place, but I'm going to engage in some marital reconciliation today. It's lid time. Figure it out and plant the seed and do it. Third thing, write this down. A little plug. Now is the time. We're nearing the end of send a question time. So now is the time. We're about to finish this up, get into Q&A. Give the gift of nowness. Nowness. Author, fabulous theologian, Dallas Willard. Dallas Willard is in heaven now. But you got your phone out already, just go to Amazon or Audible and search for author Dallas Willard and just buy something that strikes your fancy. You'll thank me later. He's good. He's awesome. Love him. He says this. Remember, give the gift of nowness. Dallas Willard says this. The first act of love is always the giving of attention. You paying attention? Do you love me? The first act of love is always the giving of attention. That's why with little kids, time, that's the currency. They just want you to be with them until they're like in the mid-teenager zone. And then it's like they don't need you as much. But when they're little, it's time. Time. That is attention. So when we give our attention, here's what we're saying. We're saying when we give attention, you are the most important thing in the universe right now for me. Not split attention, not like, yeah, tell me, what happened? Yeah. The watch is the hard one. Like you think it's not very noticeable, but it is. It just is. And the total attention. You're saying you're the most important thing in my universe. Right here, right now, I'm listening, I'm in, you're important, and that says a lot right there. Says a lot right there in that moment. Dr. John Gottman, who is a relationship studier, he spent his entire career studying thousands of couples and discovered a trend. This is the trend. The happiest couples were sensitive to what he calls bids for attention. Bids for attention. So I'll give you an example of this. This actually happened this morning. This is right out of the Callaway home. So we're getting ready, Becky's getting ready, I'm getting ready, and we converged in the kitchen for a minute, hug, and Becky's like, oh, look, right through the window. You see that bird? No, listen, I don't care about birds. Unless it's fried, I don't care. Fry it up, give me some sauce, then I care. But I'm not a bird watcher. I don't, Becky loves birds. It's not weird, I'm just not into it. But she's got an app on her phone that if she's somewhere and a bird is making a noise, she can hold the app up and it will tell her what kind of bird it is. Now we're getting to a level of where Becky can hear birds and now she knows. And now this is getting weird. That's a finch. Alrighty. So Becky, look at that bird. And you know what I did? I turned my head. That's what the neck is for. I just turned it. And I acknowledged the bird, and it was cute, and it was a moment, and it was right there in the window. That's a bid for attention. He's saying those little things like that make a huge difference in your relationship. Let's do a different example. Let's just say you are married to somebody who likes Instagram Reels. They like looking at them, laughing at them, saving them, and sharing them with you. Let's say you're sitting on the couch, TV's on, it's Super Bowl, and you're both sitting there and you both kind of have your phones and it's happening, the dynamic is there, and she sends you a reel. And let's say you're not a real hater, right? It's like, well, okay, she's sending me a reel. But if she sends you a reel that you have seen before, you better lie. You better look at that reel like you have never seen that reel before in your entire life. You just watch the thing because she knows you're watching. Is the sound on? She can hear it. And you watch that thing and you laugh, and then what do? You better send her one. It's a bid for attention. It's something that just in the moment of time is important to them. And when you acknowledge that it's important and you are paying attention to this bid for attention, it communicates value to them. Now, he found something interesting. He found that happy couples responded to these bids for attention 9 times out of 10. Students in the house, what percentage is that? 90. You're good at math. That means of the 10 reels and the 10 birds that she points out to you, you better be paying attention 90% of the time at least. He said the couples that ignored them or responded with annoyance or hostility typically were divorced within 6 years. Little stuff matters. Just being plain old-fashioned, God-centered, nice matters. Saying what matters to them matters to me. Because after all, isn't that what God does to us? What matters to you matters to him. He knows what you need even before you do. He loves you more than you could ever imagine. He knows your name. He cares about every little thing. All the little birds in your life, he cares about it. He's not like, I'm too busy for that. I'm God. I got sovereign things to do. I don't care about your girlfriend. I don't care about your marriage problem. God cares. And that's what makes him God. It's like, how can he do that? He's God. I don't know. I want to give you a couple of practical things with this. How can you practice this nowness thing? Go on a nowness date. A nowness date. So if you are married and if you have kids, here's how this might look. You schedule the babysitter. And here's what I'm going to encourage you to do. I was going to say leave your phone at home, but for many of you, that's too far. That's just extreme, Pastor Nick, in this day and this time. So maybe a compromise would be take the babysitter's number, put it in your favorites, then drag down, hit do not disturb. It is only from my favorites that I'm going to hear anything for the next hour or two. Hey, babysitter, if you have an emergency, here's grandma's number. Call grandma. And if it's a real emergency, call 911. I can't help you 30 minutes away anyway. We're going to go have some fun. And you go have some fun. And you take the phones and you refuse to put them on the table. Don't put them on the table. At least don't go face down on the table. Just take them on Do Not Disturb, in the pocket, in the purse, and try to take them as far away as you can. Just be there. Be engaged. Look at reels. Look at pictures together. Talk. That's one challenge. The second challenge is be prepared to say something that you noticed about your spouse from the last time you went on a date. I mean, maybe you're doing these every week or two. You're like, hey, you know what? I noticed when you took the kids to school that day, that was a big deal for me. That really, I could go to my meeting. I could do it as a huge help. Thank you for doing that. Have something already picked out. That's just a positive thing. Like when you put together the lid storage in that storage closet, I thought you were sexiest that you've ever been your entire life when you're doing that. So pre-plan something. Other little bonuses. Ask some questions. I wrote some down for you. What's one word that describes your week? What's one thing that made you laugh this week? What have you been praying about this week? How do you deal with how handsome I am every week? I mean, I know it's a burden. If you could have any view from your back porch, what would it be? You know, when you're married for a while, sometimes you forget how to date. And you just end up doing business meetings. Let's get our calendars here and coordinate. When's our next meeting going to be? Okay, 3 weeks out. Who's got the kids on this day, this doctor, this thing, this appointment? That is so boring. That is not why you got married. That is the byproduct of getting married sometimes, but it's not why you got married. It's because you're interested in them. You love them. You're attracted to them. They've got things on the inside of them, character stuff, personality things that you wouldn't trade for the world. Go on a date and tap into that. Feel that. Write this down. There's no blank. Just write it down. The more present you are, the more irresistible you become. Be present, and it will pay off in your relationship. Give your attention, your total focus. Is it Q&A time?
It's Q&A time.
I'm excited. Can you put your hands together? Welcome, Becky. Becky, we love you. Did we have good questions?
We've got some good questions. The first couple of really quick ones.
We got a lot of questions.
The first couple of ones that are really fast. Jack says he loves us.
Oh,
we love you, Jack.
Jack is. I'm assuming
Right
there he is. Jack, we love you too.
Thanks for making us feel good, Jack. And another one that we can answer really quickly, are there any marriage small groups happening in the Go Church community this year? Yes, in just a few weeks coming up when we launch small groups, Nick and I are actually leading an emotionally healthy relationships series, because we're perfect in every way. We're not, but it's fine. Come do with us.
Come
it's
learn from our mistakes.
So yes, that's happening. So those are easy. Okay, into the good stuff. You ready? As a husband, how can I open the lines of communication when I feel like I have been disrespected? How do I let go of my pride?
Okay, read the question again.
As a husband,
you lost me at husband.
How can I open the lines of communication when I feel like I have been disrespected? How do I let go of my pride?
Okay, so let's work backwards on this question. When we're living our life here on this earth, I don't think we ever get rid of our pride. We're always dealing with it. And we're not in heaven yet. And we live in this tension between our spirit and our flesh. And so love is patient, love is kind. You know, you get into these feelings of humbleness and serving. So I would be working on that all the time anyway. And if something comes up and it makes it hard, like if you're like, oh, I don't want to do that because I want to be right, maybe that's revealing something in your heart, or it's like a good check. Like, why am I struggling with that so much? Am I wanting to be right more than I'm wanting the relationship to be right? Why am I struggling with compromise? So let's go to the front part of this question. So let's say something happened, they did something that was disrespectful or it did hurt you. A couple of things about communication. If you were to have this conversation, I would make a time for it. I would say, hey, a couple of weeks ago or days ago or 5 minutes ago, my feelings were, something happened, it hurt my feelings. What you said, it hurt my feelings. And I want to talk about it. Can we figure out a time that we can talk about it? Because sometimes in the moment is the worst time to talk about it. And make sure you're going to talk during a good space, on a good time, and a good day. You might not be able to find a solution. It's like 3 minutes until we got to run our kid to school. It's just not going to work. So try to figure out a time. And let's say you have that time to come to the place where you can say something like, when we were talking, AKA fighting, and you said this, it really made me feel this way. I felt disrespected and hurt. That feels different than, you always say mean things to me.
Yeah.
You see the difference? So if you're going to have a conversation like this, I would use words like I am having a hard time. It hurt my feelings. And I love you enough. I want us to talk about this. And is there something I could have done better? Where did I drop the ball? I want to know. I want to take responsibility for my part. So the worst thing you can do, I think, is not talk about it. And then over time, you start keeping records of that. And it's like, I remember 4.5 weeks ago at 3 p.m., you said that it hurt my feelings. I'm holding on to that. Remember when we shredded the documents a couple of weeks ago? Love keeps no record of wrongs. I say keep short accounts. So deal with stuff on a week-to-week basis. You know, don't let it accrue. Don't be like, we've got some accounts receivable here that we're going to need 6 months and a counselor to work through. Deal with it in real time.
Yeah, and I would say for guys a lot of times, and these are all generalities that we're speaking in. It doesn't work this way in every single relationship I know, but for a lot of guys, respect for them is love. Like women are like, I need love. Guys are like, I need respect. And so that is a big deal. And letting go of pride is really hard too, because we're prideful, fleshy people. And so that is like, to me, get before Jesus moment before you come before your wife.
Okay.
Okay, good question.
Quick church question today. I went about 7 minutes longer than I was planning.
You're fired.
I received that. So what should we do now if I'm fired? So if we keep going, I'm saying, can we adjust?
Yes, let's answer 2 more. We'll take some more time on the other end, answer these online. So let's just pick a couple more. So let's see. What love language assessment should I use in order to find out how to love my spouse the best? And I love this one because I love all of the personality things. I love all of them. So I've done all of them. I love the
What Enneagram number
I love
are
the
you?
Enneagram.
What number are you?
If you've done the Enneagram, raise your hand. Raise your hand. If you haven't, you're my friend. I'm sending you a link. No, I love this one because...
What number are you?
I'm a 2.
There you go.
Nick's an 8.
I didn't ask what number I was. See, this is Enneagram people. They tell you even when you don't want to know.
Everyone share theirs. No. I just think by learning about how your spouse operates, it gives you a better understanding of how they think about things, how they feel about situations, how they might communicate about things, and it just gives you a better basis to understand somebody from. So I love that one. That's an easy one. Okay, and then...
So while you're looking, back to the first one, anything conflict-oriented? I mean, I'm sure none of you guys have ever fought in your marriage, just me and Becky. But if you ever do get in a point of tension, something that really helps me, and I started to try to do this when my kids are younger. I read a book about parenting. It was all about understanding the value of empathy, of, like, if your kid comes home and let's say they had a really hard time at basketball practice and they're mad about it, they're fussing about it, instead of just being like, well, that's why you just gotta you got to get in there and you got to try harder, and here's what you got to do. That was the same way for me, and no. Just say, that sounds incredibly hard. So what happened exactly? All they want to do is be heard. They just want to feel like they can say something and you care about what they're saying. It's that idea of being present again. So in conflict, if you're fighting, try to understand what they're feeling first. Don't even go solution first. Just be like, I want to value how they feel, and then channel things like, it's not me versus you, it's us against this problem, and it's I statements, not you. You always do this, you never do that.
And in that fighting moment, like for Nick and I, marriage for us is a covenant where we're both committed to making this work. It's not a contract where, like, I'm holding you legally to these things. And so for us, we're never...
contracts are based on mistrust. That's why you have a contract.
Right.
There's not enough trust. The covenant is, well, we don't need a contract because we have something deeper.
Right. And for us, we're in an argument, we never say, well, just go be married to someone else, or I'm going to divorce you.
Yeah, we don't talk
That's
about
off the table
thing.
for us. So we don't even bring that up. And so, which is also makes you feel safe because you know that, like, we're going to get through this and it's going to be okay. And we're going to make it through. Because you have moments and seasons of life where, like, it's hard. And those can last for a while sometimes. And you just have to know, like, we're going to get through this. Things are going to get better. There's ebbs and flows to every relationship, in marriages especially.
I think married couples you guys should fight. We should fight for resolution or solution, not to win.
Yeah.
Where it's like, it's a group project. We're in this together. So let's figure this out, the solution together.
What do you want to do?
I want to do another one or two.
Okay. This is a good one. Speak to the value of compromise. My wife and I hold out for compromise until we hear the music on things both great and small. So being in unity in things that they're in the marriage.
Why don't you go first?
Okay. I think compromise
Or do you want to compromise and I can go half first?
I think compromise in a marriage is vital to long-term success because as much as we like to get our way, you're never, ever going to get your way in every situation, and especially in a marriage where you're constantly laying down your wants and needs, because in Go Church, how do we define love? We say it all the time. Love is choosing for the highest good of another, and I think that starts with your closest relationships, and compromise oftentimes means, you know what, I'm going to give here a little. Maybe you have to give here a little bit too, and we meet somewhere in the middle where we both feel like is a godly way to move forward.
I'm going to go with a different angle. I think, yes, times for compromise, but there are also times when somebody's got to make a decision.
Yeah.
And I think love is mutual submission to each other and ultimate submission to God. But there is, in marriage, I believe, roles. And that there is a role for leadership. There is a role for husband and wife. There will come points in your life when you're both you don't feel the same about a decision that needs to be made. And I would never make a decision, like say, for example, Becky's like, no, I hate this, I'm never gonna do that. Well, we're doing it anyway. But there's certain times where one of us will feel strongly about something that needs to happen for kids, for Sydney, for life, or for church. And the other one is like, I'm just not really sure about that. And they decide, I'm gonna trust you, and I'm gonna trust God at the same time. So some compromise doesn't mean, I think, you both understand everything or feel the same way, but you just chip off a little bit and then meet in the middle. Sometimes compromise is like, I'm choosing to trust you in this zone. I don't know as much about it as you. I might feel just more scared because my personality's different, but I'm going to trust you. So compromise, don't hear the word you're partially losing. Yeah. That's hard for me to say because I'm a fighter. I would rather fight instead of half lose.
Nick likes resolution.
I do like resolution. Can we do one more?
Sure. Okay.
See how we compromise there? We don't really have time to do it, but we'll probably have to cut a song, but we're going to do it anyway.
Okay. Practical ways to support your spouse during seasons of change. For instance, career uncertainty, children, life in general.
I think it's a huge deal when you're uncertain in one part of your life, your spouse comes to you and reminds you of certainties that are for sure. Like, say they're changing jobs, and they're like, man, I don't know if I'm going to like this. Is this the right move to go? What if I go, it doesn't work out? But all these things are unsure. In those moments, here you come. Babe, I'm telling you right now, I've been so proud of you. This whole journey that we've been on, you've been on, and job and this. And if it works out, I'm with you 100%. If it doesn't work out, I'm with you 100%. Well, whatever happens in this job is not affecting us, home team. Like, we're going to do this together.
Yeah, us against the world.
Yeah, it's kind of like us against the world. And from a husband perspective, wives in the house, we remember when you compliment us about anything physical because we're naturally insecure. So if you want us to always have a beard, just say, I think you look sexy when you have a beard. Beard. Rest of your life, beard. But just remember stuff like that. Wives, the husbands, we fake confidence sometimes. Sometimes we're just naturally insecure, and so we try to fake it in other ways. So when you say something nice, or if you say something that builds us up, we're like pythons. Like, we can live off of that meal for 6 months. You don't got to hit us every day. But every once in a while, if it comes, it does a lot for us. It makes us feel like I can go out into this world. I can do this next thing. I'm going to fight for my family. I'm going to die trying. And I'm ready to go.
I'm going to share some practical things, too, if that's okay. So Nick and I
was going to say go, dominate, complete victory, other adjectives.
Check. So we've been through a lot of this. I think every marriage you go through these. But since we've been married almost 24 years this May. And so marital bliss every day. And so for us, in that time, we've had 3 kids. I went full-time to school in 4 years and got a degree. Nick did a master's. And so there are those times where when we had young kids, the boys were 3, I think, when I started going back to school to get my bachelor's degree. And Sydney was 6. And so that shifted our family dynamic because, okay, the things I was doing, I'm going to need you to step up and do more to help out here for us to survive because we can't make it all work if, things are changing. And so just being okay, stepping in the gap whenever they need you to step in the gap because there's those times in your marriage when you just have to shift and make things work and vice versa, like when you were doing your master's and So I'm doing more stuff at night because you're writing papers. And so you just have to know it's like we're doing this together for a common goal at the end, and being willing to maybe give a little more when it's hard because you know what the end goal is.
I think if you can see it as her success is my success is her success, but then when it comes time to actually plant a seed of sacrifice, you're willing to do it. You know, it's easy to say that while you're the one who's asking for more from the other. While you go out and you crush your MBA and you're traveling all over the place, you're doing all the things, and then you kind of get through that, and it's time for them to have some more options to do something, for you to say, I got you. I got you. You got me for 2.5, 3 years, I got you. What's the thing? I'm in it to win it. So together.
Yeah, good stuff.
I want us to pray for all the marriages in the house. I want us to pray for people who have, because this is real life. In this room, we've got people who are married right now, but might not be in a year. It's just how it is. Things happen. We've got people who are here that were married a year ago. And they're thinking, what am I going to do next? We got people in this room that have been married more than 20 or 30 years. We got people in this room who have just been married less than 2. We got people in this room who are about to get married in 6 months. We're all over the place in demographic, but you know who understands every season, every need, every dynamic is the Lord. And whatever you're dealing with right now, God understands. If you feel lonely, Jesus gets it. He knows.
Thanks again for listening to this week's message. To stay in the know with Go Church, be sure to follow us on Instagram and Facebook at letsgo.church. You can also download our app from the App Store by searching Go Church. Have a great week, and God bless.